Good evening, hockey fans. Welcome back in to the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We got plenty in store for you in tonight's show. 7 NHL games in action tonight. We will have reactions and updates from all the games currently going on. We had big injury news come across yesterday concerning Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get caught up on the latest there. How long will McDavid be out? How much deeper can the slide be for the defending West Coast champions off to their second sluggish start in a row? We had our last team finally get a win yesterday. And on the same day, we also had our last unbeaten team fall from the ranks. We'll react to both of those games from yesterday's action. Then we're going to empty the notebook. I've got stuff. Zach's got stuff. We'll be going through all kinds of stories from around the hockey globe. All right here, right now on the neutral zone. Buckle on in. Hop onto the ice. Stay out of that penalty box. Let's go. Hello and good evening, everyone. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Zach Puplis will be along with us here in just a little bit. You have found your way into the neutral zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We talk everything hockey on this show, going to get you caught up on everything going on around the hockey world, both in the States and across the globe tonight. Lots to go through on tonight's show. Connor McDavid was injured last night for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get caught up on the latest there. We had some evening in the ranks last night. We'll get caught up there. We'll look at the 7 games active going on in the NHL tonight. A lot of them wrapping up here while we'll be on air tonight doing the show. And one last one that'll be dropping the puck a little bit after we wrap up. So we'll preview that a little bit for you as well. Plus, if you're a regular listener to the show, you know that Zach always comes with a notebook full of stories that he's got from the last week. We'll give him a chance to empty the notebook out a little bit, make that thing a little bit lighter after tonight. So lots to go through on tonight's show. But before we get to any of that, a quick word from our sponsors right here on the Neutral Zone. IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So glad that you are here with us tonight. I am Adam Karnick. Zach Puplis will be along with us in just a little bit. Wanted to get the show rolling for you here. And of course, you heard there how to follow along with the host for the platform that makes this show and all the other shows on the network possible there, IE Sports Radio. You can follow along with IE Sports Radio, all the major social platforms on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Just search at IE Sports Radio. This show is available for you as well on Twitter. You can follow us at IESR Neutral Zone. You can follow along with us personally as well on there. I am at Adam_Karnick. Zach is at the Puplis. And if you are watching the show live here on Tuesday night, either on YouTube or Twitter or on Instagram, hop on into the chat room, leave us a comment, let us know that you're here. We can interact and have some fun that way. Taryn Rodriguez is in the chat room already. Good evening to you, sir. Coming, yeah, the LA Kings, they're looking pretty good to start the season. The Anaheim Ducks, they're just, another sluggish start to the Ducks season. We'll see how much they're able to pick it up as we go along. They're improving as a team, but they've got such a long way to go. Zach will be along with us in a little bit. Taryn's nervous. Zach will be along with us here in a little bit. He's just not quite here yet. He's got a little bit more that he's got to finish up real quick before he's able to hop on with us. So he will be here with us, but not quite in the show yet. So we'll get things started as we do traditionally here on the show. Thank you for listening, by the way. If you're watching live on Tuesday night, welcome on in, leave a comment. If you are listening to the show later on as a podcast. We are available. If you're wondering where to find this show as a podcast, all the major podcast platforms are available to you. Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, anywhere you get your podcasts, this show is available to you. So if you know of a hockey fan that would enjoy this show, this program, or you know of somebody that's a hockey fan that, hey, give this, or somebody that you think might like hockey, but you're not sure how to get them into it, send them this way. Part of what we do with this show is we try to make hockey relatable to any other sport. You know, we try to make it, this show as much hockey for all as for anything else. So we love any questions or comments, concerns you throw at us. So definitely come at us that way. But thank you for listening, however it is that you're listening or watching, whether it's live or whether it's later on in the week. Well, we always like to start the show by going through the scores going on in the NHL right now. Active tonight, we have 7 games on the docket. None have wrapped as of yet, though a couple are getting close. Some are getting there. We've got in Boston, the Bruins have just gone on a power play and they are trailing the Flyers 1-0 fairly early in the third period, but a big power play coming up right now for the Bruins. Tyson Forrester, the lone goal scorer for Philly, and that was his second goal of the season. That came early on in the second period, so a goalies match brewing there. Also in the third period out in Montreal, the Seattle Kraken absolutely taking it to the Canadiens 6-1 in Montreal. Brandon Montour, a pair of goals. I'm looking through the stat sheet to make sure I'm not missing any for him. Yeah, Brandon Montour, a pair of goals for the Kraken in that one. Cole Caulfield, the lone Canadian goal to this point, but 6-1 for the Kraken in this one as they're about to go on the power play and potentially extend that lead. So Seattle having a good night. At the end of 2, the Senators absolutely destroying the Blues 6-0, out shooting them 26-14 in the process. Brady Tkachuk has a pair of power play goals in this one. Josh Norris, a goal as well to get the scoring started. Tim Stützle, a goal as well. So lots of scoring going on in those last 2 games. The Ottawa Senators having some fun at St. Louis's expense tonight. So the crowd there in Ottawa having a good time. Meanwhile, just about halfway through the third, the Anaheim Ducks are going on the power play, looking to extend their lead against the New York Islanders. It is 2-1 Ducks. Matthew Barzal recently converted a power play opportunity to give the Ducks the lead. Matthew Barzal, I read that backwards. Matthew Barzal just got the Islanders to within 1 on the power play, but now the Ducks on a power play of their own, looking to re-extend that lead. All power play goals in this one. The special teams units have been busy in this one tonight. Halfway through the third in Pittsburgh, we have a good one going on. The Minnesota Wild trying to hang on. They're into a power play of their own, leading the Penguins 4-3. Pittsburgh has come back into this one. Minnesota was up 4-2 at one point. The Penguins did have a 2-0 lead early, but then the Wild have scored 4 of the last 5 to get the lead to 4-3. Then at the end of 2 in our nation's capital, the Capitals are leading the Rangers 4-3. Alexander Ovechkin watch, of course, always going on when the Capitals play. He does have he has two tonight. He got the first two Capitals goals, so he's getting closer and closer to Wayne Gretzky's untouchable record there. It was at 1.3-1 Washington, but the Rangers have cut into that a little bit. Philip Keitel has the most recent goal scorer in the second period to make it 4-3. So with one period left to go, lots of scoring, lots of action going on there. And then this one probably won't get started while we're on the air tonight, but then later on tonight, we do have out in California, the Battle of California, the LA Kings taking on the San Jose Sharks. So that's what is on the docket for tonight. We'll keep you updated on each of those games as they get going. Good evening, Yukio, checking in from Japan. Penguins hockey is breaking his heart. I hear you. I would not have expected to see them trailing to Minnesota tonight, but don't count them out. Don't count them out. There's still time left in that one. We'll see how things shape up and shake out there in Pittsburgh as they're finishing that one up. Well, the big news from yesterday as we started week 3 basically of the NHL season, the Edmonton Oilers lost yesterday, but that was not the biggest part of the story. They lost out in Columbus 6-1 to the Blue Jackets. Not a pretty game, not a great game at all for the Oilers, but that wasn't the big story. The big story was on his first shift of the night, superstar Connor McDavid sustained a lower body injury. He actually was taken out of the stadium. He was ruled out for the game, and he did not travel with the team. He lasted just 37 seconds on the ice. He got tripped by Zach Werenski while trying to enter the offensive zone and crashed into the right-hand boards. Oilers coach Chris Knoblauch said McDavid would be heading back to Edmonton for further evaluation. That's where he is now. Edmonton is still on a road trip. They've got 2 more games on that road trip. They are at the Nashville Predators on Thursday, and then they will head back to Canada to take on the Flames on Sunday. We'll see when McDavid is able to return to the team. If not by those 2 games, their next game after that is November 4th, which would be, as I'm now trying to do that off the top of my head, next week, Wednesday. So we'll see when McDavid is able to return to the ice. I have not seen anything necessarily talking about a timetable yet. But everybody is, of course, commenting on it's never easy to play without your leader, whoever your leader is, whether your leader is your best player on the ice or not. When your leader is not just the best player on the ice, but the best player in the world on the ice, it's especially difficult to keep going. So, the question remains, how long is McDavid going to be out? Right now, it's sounding like we do not know. It's looking like right now there's not really an expectation on when McDavid will return. And yes, the Oilers are obviously talented. You know, you've got star players up and down that lineup. But for the second year in a row, the Edmonton Oilers are off to a very, very slow start. We are, obviously we're almost in November. This is the last Tuesday in October. They have one more game in October. One more game in October. It's Thursday night, Halloween night. Right now, through 10 games, the Oilers are 4-5-1. They are officially in 6th place. They're tied with the Seattle Kraken as far as points are concerned, but Seattle hasn't played as many games, so Edmonton gets the bump down in the standings. Currently in 6th place in the Pacific. And with the way that Seattle Kraken are playing right now, they're going to pass them. They're going to jump up to 11 points here in just a little bit. That puts them ahead of only the Ducks and the San Jose Sharks in the Pacific Division. Last year, it took firing a head coach and bringing in Chris Knobloch to fix the situation and get things and get the ship righted. I don't know if that's necessarily what they're going to be doing this time around, but they could be without McDavid for a while. The injury just happened last night. They're still working on evaluations. They're still working on figuring out how long they're going to be. But in a lot of ways, this is worse. The not knowing and the waiting game is a lot worse because anything is possible. It could be he'll miss one game, he'll miss the Nashville game, and then he'll catch him up in Calgary because that's a heck of a lot closer and easier to get to. It could be that he's going to miss a month. It could be that they might not see him till the new year. Till the new calendar year. You just don't know. You just absolutely do not know what the situation's going to be there with Connor McDavid. So it is an anxious time for the Edmonton Oilers. So we will keep you updated on that as best we can. But when the best player in the world goes down, you have to sit up and definitely take notice. That was not the only story from yesterday. We can have a little bit more fun with these next two stories, and then we'll take a quick break. Give me just a quick second here while I do a little maintenance here for those of you who are watching on the visual here. Going to make a quick change here. One of the more fun stories from yesterday. We no longer have winless teams in the NHL this season. It took a little bit. It took us a hot minute to get there. It took us a hot minute just to get there, but we finally, last night, the San Jose Sharks got off the schneid and they got their first win of the season last night in come from behind fashion as well. On the docket, beating the Utah Hockey Club in overtime 5-4. 46 shots on net for the Sharks. Utah had multiple 2-goal leads in the game, led 2-0, led 3-1, even led 4-1 late in the second period. but then 3 straight goals by the Sharks in the third period. Tyler Toffoli, late in the third, got the tying goal. And then in overtime on the power play, Alexander Wenberg got his first goal of the season, and it allowed the Sharks to finally get off the schneid and get their first 2-point night on the season. The Sharks, with that, improved to 1-7-2 on the season. They still have just 4 points in 10 games, as they are sitting in last place in the Pacific, and they are in last place in the entire National Hockey League. But they got off the schneid. There was victory. And meanwhile, then if you're Utah, you have the unenviable distinction of being the first team this season to lose to the San Jose Sharks. But congratulations to San Jose. Obviously, it was rough a season ago, being the worst team in the league. It's been difficult this season because they haven't been able to enjoy the fruits of having the number 1 overall pick. He got hurt very early on in the season, still recovering from that. So to be able to get their first win of the season was big for them. And I think I see one Zach Puplis trying to join us. Zach, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, you were trying to call me on my phone. I don't know how that was going to work on the show.
I was trying to call in. I had lots of questions, some concerns. I wanted to be regular.
Oh, we're going to be long time listener, first time caller.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. So we have Zach from Michigan. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? You're on the neutral zone.
I want to know how the Kraken are winning 6-1 right now.
They're putting the puck in the net is what they're doing. They're just kicking ass and taking names is what they're doing.
Right.
That's what they're doing. And Montreal is just, is just a bad team. And they're out shooting them too. It's Montreal's out shooting Seattle 27-19, but nothing's going in the net. Meanwhile, Montreal can't stop a thing.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh man. Yeah, some other really close games going on right now too.
Yeah, there's some good ones going on. Before we get back to the scores though, I know I saw it. I wasn't sure if you saw it last night. Did you see the Connor McDavid news from last night?
No, I did not.
He sustained a lower body injury in his first shift last night in Columbus. He is not with the team.
Oh shoot.
They do not have a timetable yet for him. They were in Columbus. He fell awkwardly into the boards on his first shift. They sent him back to Edmonton. They do not have a timetable as of yet.
Oh no, that's scary.
So yeah, the best player in the world currently not playing hockey right now.
Oh no.
So we'll give Zach a minute to get caught up on the show here for just a little bit. We were celebrating some of the fun things from last night and talked a lot about the seriousness of the McDavid injury, but then started to have some fun with it. We had the San Jose Sharks get a win last night. They finally have one in the win column. All it took was going to Utah and going to overtime. But the San Jose Sharks got their first win. But then on the flip side, the Winnipeg Jets, they are unbeaten no more. So we no longer have any winless teams, but we also no longer have any undefeated teams. The Winnipeg Jets were at home last night taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it was an all Canada show. The Maple Leafs took it to them early. 2-0 at the end of one. It was at 1 point 4-0 Toronto in the second period. 5-2 at the end of two. Winnipeg did get within one. They did make it 5-4 before John Tavares capped off his hat trick by getting an empty netter with 25 seconds to go in the game. So 6-4, Montreal. Toronto, the Maple Leafs, knock off the Winnipeg Jets. So Winnipeg finally lost in regulation. So we have no winless teams, but we also no longer have any undefeated in regulation teams, as we are now. Do we consider this the third week of the season, or are we still kind of in the second week? It when you don't start clean right on a day, I'm calling it week 3. I figure we're on week 3 now.
Well, the one article I saw just said 20 games in. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, we're not even really that far yet. I mean, most teams have like 10 or 11,
Oh,
so yeah, we're not even really that deep into the season. It's still very early. That's the nice thing, is if your team is off to a miserable start, it doesn't matter. There's so much hockey left to go. If your team is off to the hottest start in the world, yeah, don't worry. You'll come back down to earth. Just give it time.
Right.
Give it time. It'll happen.
Like the Dr. Pepper hype train commercial.
Right. Oh, there's plenty of time for this thing to go off the rails yet.
Right in the hype train.
Yeah. Don't get too caught up on that. There's plenty of time for bad things to happen.
Yeah.
Plenty of time for bad things to happen. So, well, Zach, I know that you have a notebook full of things. I have one or two things that we want to get to. Let's take ourselves a quick break, and then let's dive into your notebook, shall we?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. He is Zach. I am Adam. We will be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
And welcome back on into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam and Zach back with you here. So I know those of you who are regular listeners or viewers of the show know that Zach always likes to keep a notebook full of stories and nuggets and tidbits and things from throughout the hockey world. We're going to start off with a little bit of a downer of one, but then it dovetails into some new safety procedures that are going on throughout the hockey world as well. And that is, of course, the 1 year anniversary of U.S. hockey skater Adam Johnson's death on the ice. He was playing in England. We talked about the story a year ago. He was playing for the Nottingham Panthers when his neck was fatally cut by an opponent's skate. He fell down on the ice. If you've not seen the video, frankly, I would say don't worry about it at this point. It's not pretty. It is certainly not for the faint of heart to watch. It's not a fun thing to watch. The Panthers held a tribute for him before a game this weekend. He wore the number 47. They did a 47-second stick tap on the ice. All the players from both teams were on the ice. The officials were clapping. The audience was applauding. They had his face and name up on the Jumbotron. They held a memorial for him. There is still a suspect under investigation. If you remember the story from a year ago, there was a man who was arrested by Scotland Yard on suspicion of manslaughter. There's still no decision on whether or not they're going to bring charges. They are still going over and reviewing the case. So a year later, we're not necessarily, I shouldn't say Scotland Yard. I'm sorry. The South Yorkshire Police would be the correct and proper way to say it. There's not necessarily any closure to this story yet. So we're still not necessarily without a whole lot of answers, but at the same time, the hockey world has started to step up things to try to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And Zach, I know that kind of takes you into where you kind of wanted to go next with this, and that is neck braces in the American Hockey League.
Sure. Yeah. I found an article about an update on the murder investigation. If you want to see it too.
Absolutely, go for it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Manslaughter investigation continues 1 year after Adam Johnson's hockey death in England. WCCO News from October 28th, just yesterday. Been 1 year since the death of American hockey player Adam Johnson. Man remains under investigation after being arrested on suspicion of manslaughter. Thousands of fans witnessed a grisly collision, but authorities have not announced a decision about whether they will bring charges. There could be a variety of explanations, from delays in digital forensic analysis to weighing the potential difficulty in proving criminality for on-the-ball incidents like this one. Johnson and the Nottingham Panthers, well, we know how it happened, but he played for the Penguins. Petgrave was skating towards him. Matt Petgrave had another player in front of him, Panthers player in front of him. Appears to have made contact. Then Petgrave's left skate elevates as the defenseman begins to fall, and blade hits Johnson in the neck. Johnson was a Minnesota native who was 29, pronounced dead at a local hospital. Panthers described it as a freak accident. South Yorkshire Police arrested a man but have not released his name or age. The man was released on bail the next day, and but has been rebailed several times, a formality while the investigation continues. In the British system, an arrest signals the start of an investigation. A decision on charges would come afterwards. Police try to determine the state of mind of defendants. Besides conducting interviews, the defendants give passwords, which are not obligated to do for any kind of computer or any kind of phones or tablets or anything. Massive delays in the British criminality justice system. Criminal defense lawyer Quentin Hunt told the AP. A report published less than 2 years ago, so there's a backlog of 25,000 devices waiting to be examined. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that takes time.
Yeah. Lawyers point to a 2004 court ruling that overturned the grievous bodily harm conviction of an amateur soccer player who seriously injured an opponent with an on-the-ball tackle. It said criminal prosecution should be reserved for conduct that is sufficiently grave. If deciding the contact reaches criminal threshold, has to be borne in mind that in highly competitive sports, conduct outside the rules can be expected to occur in the heat of the moment. Ruling added that type of sport, the level at which it's played at, the nature of the act, the degree of the force used, and the extent of the risk of injury, the state of mind of the defendant are all likely to be relevant in determining whether the defendant's actions go beyond the threshold. Wow.
Yeah, it's if you've seen the video, it's obviously it's a horrible accident and it's a terrible thing. You would never, ever in a million years wish to have it happen, but it doesn't look like anything other than a freak accident. You know, it doesn't look like there's any intent. Now, obviously, you know, a court of law and those with a practiced eye might decide differently, but to someone who's just used to watching hockey, it looks like hockey. And then unfortunately everything goes horribly wrong for that brief moment in time. So, well, what are leagues now doing to try to prevent this? We may have noticed some players in the NHL since have worn protective neck braces. What is the AHL in particular doing now to try to step this up, Zach?
Sure. Just one last point on the other previous one. They said that an arrest has been made, but they didn't mention anybody's name. But it's like, who other than this Petgrave guy would you be arresting? Like, unless somebody, you know, paid him to put a hit on this guy, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you could John Grisham it, or, you know, try to come up with a conspiracy theory or try to come up with a fun answer. But yeah, it would seem like there would be only one obvious person. But at the same time, I wouldn't want my name being floated around. Oh yeah, you got arrested for slicing that dude's neck accidentally while playing hockey. You know, I wouldn't want that in the press either. Just, oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, not that I think about that every day.
Oh,
you know.
Right. Oh, exactly. Oh gosh. But yeah, so AHL has done. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Here's the synopsis, basically. American Hockey League, starting this season, all players, referees, and linespersons must wear cut-resistant neck protection. Comes after the death of Adam Johnson. So then USA Hockey, starting August 1st. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, keep going.
Okay. Players in all age classifications except adults must wear neck laceration protection, NLPs for short, for games and practices that includes youth, girls, junior age classifications, as well as on-ice officials under 18. USA Hockey also recommends NLPs for adult players, encourages the use of cut-resistant socks, sleeves, or undergarments for all players and officials. And also, this one says International Ice Hockey Federation requires neck protection at all levels of their tournaments. Neck guards are intended to prevent lacerations by creating a barrier between the neck and the skate blades, obviously. I think I saw somewhere that WHL did it too, but that's not listed on this one.
That I would have to look. I'm not sure if the PWHL has done anything with that, but it would certainly make sense. You know, as...
Oh, sorry. No, Western Hockey League. Like
the Western Hockey League. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know for the Western Hockey League. That I'd have to look. That I do not know at all. As a dad whose daughter has started skating this year and this time next year might be on a hockey team, I am glad to hear that is a USA Hockey standard. That nope, you're wearing protection there, because things happen. Things happen, and you're skating around on. There's a reason that the game was called Blades of Steel. Those suckers are sharp. They can hurt, and obviously, if things go horribly, horribly, horribly wrong, you just it's a simple little thing, but it could literally save your life. So good measures all around. Good measures all around.
100%.
All right, let's go off of the heavy stuff then for a moment. There was some more fun from happening last night. Sports, we get really attached to a bunch of these players, a bunch of these guys, and then they sometimes leave us. They for one reason or another, they go to another team. But then, the NHL, unlike some other sports, in the NHL, you play everybody every year. You host everybody every year. So you get to have the opportunity to have a homecoming. That was on display last night for Steven Stamkos, as the now member of the Tampa Bay Lightning got to come home to on a visit to the Nashville Predators last night. Now it went, I have that completely backwards. Damn it. Wow. I really did that backwards. Wow. Beautiful flowing words. And then I say it all backwards and wrong. Zach, pick me up and I'm just going to shut up.
You're good. We knew what you meant. Former
Wow.
Tampa Bay Lightning player, now with the Nashville Predators, in his return to Tampa, received an emotional tribute from the fans, from the stadium, everybody. Tampa, Florida. Tampa Bay Lightning coach John Cooper started up at the Jumbotron as an emotional tribute video highlighted Steven Stamkos' 16 years with the franchise. Near the opposing bench stood Stamkos, now a member of the Predators, returning to Tampa for the first time in another uniform. Quote, I was thinking about how soft I've gone in my elder years. I just start welling up, Cooper said Monday.
Bullcrap, sir. You are still one of the youngest men on that bench, of any bench.
Right. After his team's 3-2 overtime win. Quote, how do you fit 16 years into a 2-minute video? It almost doesn't feel right. It was extremely well done. But in the end, it doesn't matter how well you do it. You'll just never do it justice. Stamkos is the Lightning's all-time leader in games with 1,082, goals with 555, and points 1,137. He's a superstar who grew the sport in Tampa and was a fixture in the community. But Stamkos, 34, oh my gosh, we're older than him? What?
Yes, yeah,
That's hard to believe.
I know.
And the Lightning parted ways after last season when they couldn't come to terms on a new contract, an impasse that was both public and contentious. Tampa Bay captain signed a 4-year, $32 million contract with the Preds. Lightning replaced Stamkos on their top line with free agent winger Jake Gensel, who was 4 years his junior. Monday offered Stamkos his first chance to reconnect Lightning fans since leaving for Nashville. Wow. Quote, I don't think it's goodbye. I think it's more of a thank you, see you later type thing, he said after the game. It was pretty emotional. You see where it all began as an 18-year-old kid, where I grew up from a boy to a man and a Stanley Cup champion, a husband, a father, a son. Most of my life has been here, end quote. Fans roared as Stamkos skated out for warm-ups as signs in support of the former Lightning star papered the glass. Few fans had messages critical of Tampa Bay management for not getting a deal done with Stamkos, but most took the moment to celebrate his accomplishments with the team. Stamkos said the comfort of being back at Amalie Arena, albeit in a different locker room, there was comfort being back there, but it was surreal to have his longtime friends become his on-ice enemies. Quote, "It's weird. I have dinner with some of the guys last night. It's like I never left, right? Well, that's just the bond that you have. And then you get on the ice, and there's that competitive nature on both sides that comes out. So there's not much chit-chat. Then you see each other right after the game, and it's like we were just go back to last night. So that's the life of an athlete. It's cliche that there's no friends on the ice, and you're obviously not looking to kill anyone out there, but you want to win just as bad as they want to win."
Yep. Yeah, Steven Stamkos, I mean, he's one of those guys that when you talk about the Lightning, he's one of the guys that you think of when they were making their championship runs. And he and Braden Point, they immediately come to mind.
Yeah. But they built that whole team around those two guys.
Yep.
Victor Hedman and yeah.
Yep.
Around 7 minutes into the first period, the scoreboard lit up with photos of a young Stamkos in his hockey gear. Lightning fans rose to their feet as the tribute began. A 2-minute montage of Stamkos' journey from number 1 draft pick in 2008 through Tampa Bay's 4 conference titles and 2 Stanley Cup championships with Stamkos as their captain.
Strong stuff. Those are always, call me sentimental. Those always get to me, regardless if it was somebody that was on my team, like, God, the Patrick Kane video, I barely survived that.
Oh no.
Or even just, somebody when it's like Steven Stamkos watching that or the Pittsburgh one from last year, where it's just, they're always so full of warmth. They're full of heart. They're full of just joy and celebration for the person, and it's, you feel that connection, that family atmosphere there. And it always just brings out the fuzzies. And it's so easy in life to find things to make you upset. It's nice to be able to find things to make you smile and make you feel good, especially in an activity that you already like going to anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I'll end by saying this. Electronic scoreboards around the rink lit up with career stats, awards, achievements, along with the slogan "Forever 91" and thank you messages. At the conclusion of the video, the spotlights hit Stamkos, who skated from the Predators bench, where national players were engrossed by the video tribute, to the middle of the rink, raising his stick to the fans as the arena projected his number 91 on the ice, as has become tradition when former Lightning stars return to Tampa on new teams. When the play began, again, Lightning fans loudly chanted Steven Stamkos in honor of their former captain.
Very nice. Very, very, very nice. Very, very well done. Well, I tell you what, I see how much time we have. I know your notebook goes way deeper than that, but I see what time we have. And I know that you love doing the scores as much as everything else. Get us caught up on the scores, because I know a bunch of games either have gone final or about to go final. Get us caught up on the scores, and then we'll put a bow on this thing.
For sure. One of the other ones I couldn't believe was where'd it go? Senators and Blues. Senators blowing out the Blues 7-1.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It was 6-1 when we started. It was just, hello. What are they drinking in Ottawa tonight?
It's now 8-1.
Oh my. They got the 2-point. They got the 2-point conversion on that one.
Right. They got 4:33 left in the third on that one. Rangers and Caps, there's 9 minutes left in the third in that game. That's a nice close game, competitive 4-3. Capitals lead that one. The Flyers beat the Bruins 2-0. Kraken beat the Canadiens 8-2. So both teams capped on a couple extra goals since we last checked in on that one. Ducks and Islanders. Ducks win that 3-1. And Wild and Penguins was nice and tight till the end, 5-3. The Wild win that. It was 4-3 for a while, so maybe it was a empty netter is my guess to cap it off. They have that little insurance goal.
Yep.
And we can pick the story back up next week with another touching tribute. But I'll tease it here with Marc-Andre Fleury stopping 26 shots to lead the Wild past the Penguins 5-3 with his swan song in Pittsburgh. Yep.
You know, there were a lot of damp eyeballs in Pittsburgh tonight for that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yep. Kaprizov got the empty netter. Yep, for sure.
And you also know that Marc-Andre Fleury refused to allow that to be a standard, your standard issue tribute too. I'm sure Fleury had some fun with it at everybody's expense, including his own.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Still to come tonight, we got the Kings and the now 1-win Sharks, no longer winless, coming up in the next couple minutes at 10 o'clock.
Excellent. Very, very good. Very, very good, Zach. Well, with that, we're going to sound the horn on this thing. Thank you. Big thank yous all around. Of course, starting with our sponsors, Planet Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. You find them at planetjerky.net, or you can also find them on social media on Instagram at Planet Jerky. They offer free shipping on all orders of $50 or above. Thank you also to Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You find them on Instagram at SealTheDeal_Wax Seal. You place your orders by going to iesportsradio.com/Seal the Deal Wax Seal. While you're at iesportsradio.com, check out our page, The Neutral Zone, or hop on into the shop. Find yourself some merchandise. The holidays are coming up. You know people that like hats, hoodies, t-shirts, sweaters, swag. You know people that like that stuff. They make great stocking stuffers. Load on up there. Support the show. Support the network. Thank you, of course, then also to IE Sports Radio for providing the platform for this show, without which none of this would be possible. Thank you also to Larry B., the czar and overlord of IE Sports Radio, doing all the behind-the-scenes work. It does not go unnoticed, nor is it unappreciated. Thank you to everybody that's hanging out in the chat room with us tonight. Davidson Crooks hanging out with us. Yukio from Japan hanging out. Unfortunately, his Penguins couldn't pull off the comeback, but hopefully it was a good time anyway. And Taryn Rodriguez, of course, hanging out with us in the chat room. Thanking you guys for being there as well. Finally, thank you, the listener, for being here. Whether you were watching the show live tonight on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, thank you for being here for that. Know somebody that likes hockey but wasn't here to watch the show? You're in luck. Just tell them anywhere that they find their podcast. You know, everybody listens to some kind of podcast, right? Well, anywhere they get their podcast, they can find this show. Search IE Sports Radio on any of your favorite podcast platforms, and you will find the Neutral Zone. Until next week, he's Zach, I'm Adam. We'll see you next time.